Hi there folks, I was hoping to bring you something interesting this week, but it hasn't really happened, I'm afraid. So I'm just catching up on some jobs that need doing, one of which being the propeller we have here at the museum. It's been an unknown propeller for quite a while, but recently we have got some details on it, so we now know possibly which aircraft it was. If you cast your mind back a long time ago, you'll remember that I actually put some resin on these blades to preserve them, and I think it's time that I actually made something so we can mount the propeller and get it outside where the museum buildings are. So today I've decided let's do some measuring up and see if we can work out a way to mount this in its correct orientation, not pointing at the sky, and I'll tell you about the details. So let's take a closer look. So yes, it has been a while since I put the resin on. Got most of it on the floor. But it's on, it's dusty. But I would say it has done its job. It was like flaky slate originally. Big thanks to Andy Ward for the centre dome there, because it didn't have one. The reduction gear, I'm afraid, is never going to rotate again. And I have noticed that bearing had disappeared. Now, the way this is going to be mounted will be that blade pointing upwards, which is the better one. Then we'll have these both pointing down, which means I need to mount on this side. So, unfortunately, we put up level across there. You can see how that gear's kind of compromising things. Whereas on there it kind of misses it. So that's something I'm going to have to work around. Now, right at the back, underneath there, and you can't see at this moment, which makes it awkward, is like a pin that goes into the engine. This gear is actually driven by the engine. Luckily we have another reduction gear we can take some measurements off, because this one has definitely had some pain. And I'll tell you about its pain in a little bit. Oh, and before we, let me just point out something else I need to do from the resin. All these little, you see them? Yeah, we need to get rid of all those. But we'll attend that later. First off, what I did do is I found a random piece of metal that I've just shaped a little bit. And that would allow us to make use. There's an anchor point there, and what I'm thinking is something coming down each side to this back level, and then we can make use of the pin at the back, which would kind of give it an undercarriage. I'm then thinking of an anchoring strap around here that will anchor onto this piece. And then from there we can make a piece that will go onto a mounting, I suppose, shaft. All will become clear. Well, it has to be said, that resin has definitely done its job. I'm actually quite impressed with that. I didn't know if it would work. Very dusty though. I'll take some cleaning. This was the worst blade, as you can see, and it's still a little bit, it is what it is. I'm going to paint the blades, I want to paint them black and give them a yellow tip, despite being like they are. In fact, despite being like they are, you can actually see the yellow paint on the bottom of that one. And on the bottom of that one. That blade being far the best one. Just got a little sea life on it. So, I'm going to get some measurements off there, and then we need to do some measurements on the reduction gear. So, I'll do that and we'll go in the museum, folks. Okay, so we need to establish a couple of dimensions, one of which is that off. From there to here, because that's a fixed distance. So when I measure on the other reduction gear, I can measure from there to the back of it. Make that about 7.5 inches. Right, let's go and measure the other one. Ah, good, you're already here. So, we have a reduction gear, same as on the propeller that we've just been looking at. So we can take some measurements from this. So let's take a closer look. So you've probably seen the videos on this reduction gear. Tripping up. This one being from a Mark III from RAF Elvington. It was MZ763, and this was actually shot down over the Netherlands in 1944, and it does actually all rotate now. Managed to free it all off, unlike the one on the propeller. So we took a measurement from where the two bolts were on the propeller hub, and we had 7.5 inches back to that gear. So now we need to measure from there to there, and we can make use of that as another anchoring point for the mount. So let's just get something to measure across there. So that's where we're at. The measurement I took from the actual propeller hub, if we put that on there, sits there, and then we know where this back edge is, because we can't see it on the propeller because it's sat on it. So I'll just sketch out a little diagram of what I'm thinking, and then I'll tell you about which aircraft the propeller was from. So, back in the propeller room. My piece of steel is that piece there. I don't know how well this is showing on camera, it looks really illuminated. So I'm going to use some more angle iron and have two runners, which will go from this front part and run down all the way to the back of the reduction gear there. This loop will go around here, anchoring onto the pieces of steel, and then we'll have to work out this back end. Once we've got the other bit made, we can take some measurements so we know it's sat level and make the correct anchorage point for the back. And then from there we can attach this to some form of upright and get it mounted outside. So I hope that makes sense. It does to me. And yeah, all that leaves, folks, really, is which aircraft did this come off? So which aircraft was it? Well, we didn't have any information when the propeller first came, but somebody's been doing some research, and it looks like it could have been with the 347 Squadron, the Free French Air Force that were based at Elvington. That's now the Yorkshire Air Museum. I'll put a little clip in of that. I've been there a few times and highly recommend it. And the aircraft in question was Halifax NA519, and she took off from Elvington on the 28th of October 1944 on a mission over Germany. I'll put more details in the description. And yeah, she encountered severe icing conditions, and this actually affected the engine oiling systems, and oil when it's cold doesn't want to flow, and it put some of the engines out of action, so they had to bail out, and they basically ditched the aircraft off the coast of Felixstowe. It was then later hauled up in a crab pot and came to us. So at least we have an idea of which it was, and like I say, I'll put some more details in the description. So on that bombshell, I think that wraps this video up. If you like this sort of thing, the museum work and that, please support the channel. You can do this by simply putting a like on things, sharing the videos so you can get anybody else to watch my escapades. And also there's the super thanks and the monthly membership at $1.99. I'm not begging for money, folks, but it all helps to make more content involving these sort of things, and we'll get on some more explores at some point. So anyway, folks, thanks for watching, liking, subscribing and all that jazz. We'll catch you on the next one.